there's no reason for anybody to stay with something that isn't serving them the way they want to be served. Welcome friends, in this video we're going to be talking about Canon losing its brand equity and how much of a nightmare that'll turn out to be for them. And I kind of want to go through this kind of like a story, the story of how Canon got to here and what users can do about it. And then I want to talk about why it's such a big deal. Hey everybody, I want to take a quick minute out to go ahead and thank my 450 subscribers. You are making my dream of being someone, of having an audience on this platform a reality. And I just want to say thank you so much, because you're doing so many good things for me. You're making me feel so many good things. I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get back to it. Kind of as the generic backstory, 2008, the 5D Mark II comes out, completely revolutionizes the industry. Great IQ, great high ISO performance, great dynamic range, and video. And that video bit really started things off, because now you don't need to buy a cinema camera. Now you don't need to buy a dedicated Super 35 video camera in order to make video. So your DSLR becomes substantially more versatile. Your entire rig, in order to make content, becomes more portable. You're able to buy one set of lenses, basically. You know, there's a lot of really great upsides to this. But after that, there's kind of like a breaking point, right? Within Canon, the way Canon's thinking about the way that they're doing business. Because what happens is that they slow and halt progress. Apart from dual pixel autofocus and the 5DS, 5DSR, Canon has been incredibly conservative with its product and feature offerings. Canon started the DSLR revolution in 2008 with the 5D Mark II, but since then it's debilitated its cameras. No zebras, no peaking. Those are two really essential features for video cameras. The hardware, can the hardware even do it? Yes, the hardware can. Magic Lantern has put, 1080p 60 in RAW on the 60, on the original 60, and on the 5D Mark III. So this is not a hardware limitation. I saw an article that was on EOS HD by Andrew Reed, and what he was saying is that the sensor was putting out a great quality image of a particular Canon camera that he was looking at, and the image processor actually resampled that 1080p image in order to make it softer and in order to introduce moire so that Canon could segment the video quality on its lower end cameras, on its entry level cameras. The way Canon's doing that with the 6D Mark II is by not including the all-eye codec. So what that means is that there's not even on the 6D Mark II a video codec that's as good as is on the original 6D. And a lot of people are forgetting that, like, the 5D Mark IV actually really sucks for video. You know, you have 1080, which is fine, and the DPIF is great. Is supposed to cover over the multitude of sins that the 5D Mark IV's video recording is a jumble of. 4K, 1.74x crop, so that's more than the crop that you'll even get if you're starting on an APS-C body like an Alpha 6000 series camera and getting an additional crop on top of that. That 4K though is super unusable. That 500 megabits a second motion JPEG codec from the 90s will require intense amounts of transcoding. 128 gigs gets filled in on a CFast 2.0 card, gets filled in 15 minutes. But really, dual pixel autofocus is an industry standard autofocus system. And I don't believe it is. I find the autofocus tests that I see, the Sony cameras are keeping up with it. So I don't think that DPIF is actually all it's cracked up to be, and it's not good enough to mitigate the intense awfulness of the 5D Mark IV's 4K and even of its, moderate 1080. And at this point in the video, everybody's going to say, okay, then why not buy a cine camera? And the point is portability and versatility. I hit that earlier. The reason why you want both in the same package is so that you don't have to lug around another thing, is so that you can have just one set of lenses, is so that you don't have to worry about not getting the shot that you want just because you're holding the wrong camera or because the right camera's in your bag. Most other manufacturers are giving you just about every video feature that you're going to want into almost all of their cameras. That's kind of a big deal. The other point of contention about that is like you can't get a full frame sensor size on a cinema camera, on a dedicated video camera. Those are all Super 35 or smaller, and Super 35 is equivalent to APS-C. So, you know, you can mitigate that with really fast lenses, but what you should be able to do rather is getting full frame video that looks fantastic and not having to worry about buying a sensor size that's smaller in a dedicated video camera. You should be able to have both in one. So now we come to this market segmentation that we mentioned earlier. Market segmentation is a way to force users through specific allotment of specifications and features in order to force consumers to buy particular cameras. I take issue with that, largely because you can buy a camera from Panasonic for under $400 that has 4K in it. Now it's micro four thirds sensor, but you still should be able to get all of the features that you want out of every device that you're getting. Like, the camera shouldn't be in your way when you're making content. So why does Canon think it'll work? Canon thinks it'll work because of their EF lens lineup. And you know what, I really don't think that is gonna hold on for too much longer. But you know, Canon's not the worst ever. They have great colors, incredible reliability, incredible ergonomics. They have fantastic customer service for their professional users. But I want to return to why market segmentation sucks and why it sucking matters. Fuji, Panasonic, Olympus, Sony, they're all putting top-line features into all of their cameras, even entry-level models. Since the APS-C revolution of 2016, 2017, you're gonna get fantastic sensor performance out of an APS-C camera, and with the increasingly easy accessibility to very fast, high image quality lenses, you're gonna be able to mitigate equivalence issues because of the performance of the lens in conjunction with the performance of the sensor, so that you'll be able to reach full frame levels of equivalence, kind of using this point to return to this brand equity issue. Is that the big thing that's happening right now is mirrorless systems. And the thing about mirrorless systems is that you can adapt just about any lens to them. This is a nightmare for traditional first-party. Your EF lenses don't lock you to Canon bodies anymore. So then, people are like, oh, it costs more, oh, there's performance issues. Buying an adapter costs less than replacing your entire set of lenses. It makes a lot of sense to deal with whatever performance issues there are, unless you're like a super duper professional, because you can mitigate most of those by buying a good adapter. Is Canon too big to fail? Is a question that I think is worth asking. Sony, with its super innovation, Fuji, Pentax, Olympus, the Micro Four Thirds consortium as a whole, they're all super hungry. They all super want the market that Canon has and more. And other manufacturers like Sigma, Samyang, Rokinon, they're putting lenses into the market that are making it so that you don't have to rely on your Canon lenses anymore. They're effectively and functionally freeing consumers to go after mirrorless options or whatever other cameras that they want, because they're way cheaper, they're way more accessible, they're great optical quality. So Canon is hemorrhaging brand equity, and by hemorrhaging this brand equity, people are considering and actually going through with switching. For me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I have my bases covered, and we'll see how that all goes, because I feel like the only thing that I can do is wait, because I have my bases covered to the extent that any upgrade or switch that I make right now would really only be a marginal improvement over what I already have. I think it's not useful to consider an impulsive switch. But there's been a lot of people in the comments lately that I've been reading in the comments on my own videos that are saying, I have an original 7D or I have a 7D Mark II and I'm really hoping to trade up. What are options now? And I think that the reality of the situation is, don't look at Canon. And this is what's happening because of Canon's market segmentation. They're not giving the features they need to at every price point to entice people to stay. There's no reason for anybody to stay with something that isn't serving them the way they want to be served by a product that is either one of necessity if you're a professional, or of convenience and pleasure if you're a hobbyist. That's why I don't really believe that Canon is going to be able to continue this for too many more years. They're going to have to really start rethinking their brand strategy, because Sony has already overtaken Nikon as number 2 manufacturer distributor of interchangeable lens cameras and lenses in North America, which is the single biggest market. Sony's dominating in Asia, and Europe is seeing that trend start to happen as well. So what will be happening is that Canon's gonna, lose its spot here sooner than later, because they're not innovating, they're segmenting. And that segmentation is something that's really hurt Nikon and put Nikon in the place that it's at. And I think that we as consumers need to help Canon realize that by not purchasing their product. And so that's why it'll be such a big nightmare for them. That's why their hemorrhaging brand equity is going to be such a big nightmare, is because they're losing customers. Customers are switching. Customers aren't sticking around. And when, Canon needs to start turning things around, will it be able to? Will it be able to make up all of the brand equity they've lost in a short enough period of time to turn their business around, when the entire interchangeable lens camera market is kind of going down the toilet? It's hard to think about, but I think that the smart thing to do is invest in lenses that are mount independent. There are a lot of options on the table for everything, and I think that it's wise to start looking. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I'm really glad that you spent your time with me today in this video. The 450 people that have subscribed to me, I just want to say thank you so much. You're making my dream a reality, and I so appreciate you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.